Shamai! Today's activity is to create a story map of our story for this week, which is The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle. So, when I start my story map, I often start by drawing myself a line. Now, it can be any shape you want. It could be straight lines and you could zigzag it down your page. It's completely up to you, but you just need a line to follow for your story on a plain piece of paper. And a pencil, obviously. Now, the purpose of a story map is to help us put the story in order so that we can retell it or innovate it to create our own version. So you might need to use the book, the video that's also on this channel of me reading the story, or the PowerPoint that I've made of the pages of this story to do this activity. Now, I'm going to look inside and think, right, the first thing that happens is that it's autumn and there's a big wind that blows seeds into the air and carries them far across the land. So I'm going to think, right, what pictures could I draw to help make this happen? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drawing a big gust of wind. How do I draw wind? That's a good point. I'm going to draw my wind, and I'm going to draw the seeds floating across the land, and I'm going to also show a really small seed there. I'm going to make him even smaller because he is the tiny seed. And I'm going to find out where they go next. I'm going to turn to the next page, and the seeds fly high up close to the sun. And one seed gets too close to the sun, so I'm going to draw that, and he burns. There's some flames. Okay, and that seed burns, but the other seeds keep on travelling. And there's the tiny seed manages to keep on following along behind. Okay, what happens next in my story? I'm going to turn the page. You might need to look at the next section of the PowerPoint. The next seed lands on a tall mountain where there's ice and snow. So the seed lands here and it doesn't manage to grow because it's too cold, but the other seeds keep on flying away. Next, they fly over the ocean where there are lots of fish and all sorts of creatures in the ocean, and one of the seeds lands in the water, but the others manage to keep flying. And what you can see here is I'm telling this. Now, what I would be able to do once I finish and get right to the end of the story is I am able to use my story map to retell the story of the tiny seed. So I can say it was autumn and a strong wind blew the seeds into the air and up across the land. As they flew, one seed flew too high and got really close to the sun, and it burned up, meaning that it couldn't grow. But the other seeds carried on. But those seeds came to a mountain, and unfortunately one of those seeds landed on top of the mountain where it was too cold and snowy for it to grow. But the other seeds carried on their journey. When they were flying over the sea, one of them falls into the ocean. But luckily the tiny seed and some of the others sail on with the wind, and I can use my story map to retell the story. Now, I would really like you to create your own story map showing from beginning to end the story of the tiny seed. And then as an extra challenge, I want you to see if you can retell the story in your own words, but in the correct order, using your story map to help you. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of your work.